All right, welcome to Our One Blessed Mess. This is Ben and Liz, and we're here telling our story of raising 6 kids that we had in 8 years, managing our entrepreneurial home with 2 businesses, plus homeschooling and currently raising how many teenagers, Ben? How many?
4 teenagers.
4.
About to be 5.
About to be 5, plus 7 chickens and 2 dogs, just to keep things interesting. But today's conversation is about what?
Today's topic is family devotions and just in also like the broader topic of a rule of life. So specifically family devotions, but also as it relates to this concept of a rule of life. And, you know, we're going to share some fun stories about just the craziness that happens when we do family devotions with a large family.
I think I know which one you're thinking of right this second.
Oh, an actual story?
Yes, I do.
Like a story from family devotions?
Well, I mean, we've got some funny stories.
There's a few, yeah.
I think I know which one you're thinking of.
Which one?
I think the one about sex ed and devotions.
That is a little crazy. You might not have heard her right. That was sex ed in our family devotion.
Yeah, that was that. How do we even begin to tell this story?
Well, I think maybe you lay a little context. You weren't there, so you kind of get to escape the blame for that one.
Right, I was totally gone because I took our youngest to school or somewhere. I don't know what happened, but I was
one of the youngest. It was one of them.
One of the kids, one of the 6-pack. I took them somewhere, and when I came back, our oldest daughter came running out to the car, all in a hissy. She got in the car, shut the door shut, and she was like, "Mom, I have to tell you something." I'm like, "What?" I mean, I haven't even turned off the car yet. She's like, "Mom, Dad, he just said something that he should have never said." I'm thinking, what did your father say? I don't even know. I can't even get this out of my mouth. I can't even believe we're talking about this. I don't know if I can record this.
Well, maybe it'd be helpful if I tell the story.
Maybe so, because this part, I can't.
So let's set a little context.
Wow.
As they said, or as Liz said, she wasn't there.
Right.
It was just me with the kids, and we do family devotions in the morning pretty regularly. And when we've had some seasons on and off. We're not perfect with it.
We're not perfect in it, and I mean, let's face it, we're a family, so it's not going to be perfect ever.
Things change, but we've always tried to kind of continue to come back to family devotions. So this particular day, Liz was out. I had the rest of the kids, and typically how it goes is like I'll read from a devotional, or we'll listen to a devotional, or maybe we'll even like pull up some Bible Project videos.
Oh yeah, those are the best. The Bible Project videos. I get resource. So much out of those.
Yeah, really good. Really great. I love them just for myself, but really well done. So anyways, we did one of those, and the topic of children came up. Like,
who asked the question?
Well, I think it was our youngest.
Okay, so he was there. All right.
And he was just kind of noodling on this concept of children and like how they were a blessing, and he was like, well, where do children come from? I think is what he asked. And immediately some of the older kids kind of shot a look at me like, don't do that. Don't answer that question.
Because they know their dad. They know their dad. They know their dad is not going to leave that question hanging. So what did you say? Because he was younger.
Well, I mean, here's my philosophy. It's like, if you're going to ask that question,
right,
I would rather be the one to answer it. I would, instead of.
No, I get it.
Some uncontrolled circumstance.
I'm on the same page as you. Right. Yeah. I get it. Okay.
So I was I was getting jazzed. I was like, all right, here's my opportunity. We get to.
At the family devotions with everybody there. Of course, naturally.
Except for you and one other person. But anyways.
Whoever it was, we don't even remember.
We don't remember. But anyways, so I'm like rearing to go. But I'm also at the same time trying to like tell this to a younger child. So like, I'm thinking, okay, how do I relate this? I don't really know how old he was. He was probably like maybe 4 or 5.
I don't know, but what you said, you need to get to the punchline. You need to get to this part of the story.
So basically,
it's awkward to say it.
It is. I'm dragging my feet. I don't know what's
awkward.
Yeah, gosh, dang it.
Now we're talking about it. You better say it. People want to know.
Basically, I turned to him and I said, "Well,
oh my gosh,
there's I can't even get it out. There's this hole and a pokey thing.
Oh my gosh.
And it was doomed right from the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
My kids just started
laughing.
The older ones just were like, what the heck?
Blaze, our oldest, was not happy.
Our oldest was like, Dad.
Justice. She's Miss Justice. So as soon as I pulled up, she was hot. Mom. Then he said, what? She goes, he just said that. I was like, oh no. So of course I get out of the car, go in. I'm like, babe, really? He's like, he asked. I'm like, but you had to say it right then?
So that was how not to do sex ed and family devotions, because it fell really flat. But anyways, it was hilarious. We laugh about it at, quite frequantly, actually, as a family, because I'm basically not allowed to do sex ed anymore.
No, not in that
the family
context.
devotions.
No. But honestly, we love family devotions.
We do. Yeah.
We try to do it most mornings.
It's a really great thing. I know it takes time, and obviously we have to get all on the same page,
right,
and the same schedule,
right.
But that's kind of what I want to talk about in the general context of like, what is a rule of life?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you've not heard of that concept before. We heard of it through this book called Practicing the Way.
Yep. Great book.
By John Mark Comer.
Great book.
And super good book on discipleship, not book.
That is not going to be in the family devotions either.
Hopefully not. Maybe the dog devotions. Who knows? But not the family devotions.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, so this book talks about the concept of a rule of life. And the first we hear about the rule of life is from monastic Christian communities around the 4th century. And essentially, it's just a way to guide and shape your life.
Right. Wait, were the monks the ones that kind of had like a skull?
Oh, yeah. See, that was another thing about from the book is like John Mark talks about some of the early monks who were practicing this like rule of life concept. And some of them would keep a skull at their desk, at their work desk.
But why though?
Sounds a little morbid, right?
Actually, I'm thinking...
Like, did they celebrate Halloween back then?
No, I mean, isn't that like Merlin that had... Right?
No. Wait, you mean the wizard?
I guess he wasn't a monk. Never mind.
He wasn't
Delete that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is a Merlin that's a monk, but
no, I don't.
Not that I remember.
No. I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
So they would keep these human skulls at their desk to remind them that life is short,
right,
and that they shouldn't squander their time. Instead, they should rule over their life.
That's actually really good, you guys.
And
that's so good.
It sounds a little extreme,
yeah,
but I kind of like that concept of just having something so in your face, like every day, like, hey, we have a short time on this earth.
We do. I think that's the part that's
don't
like...
squander your time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's like hitting my heart. And that's why we do family devotions, because as we're raising a family, I mean, we have, emerging adults, yeah, and they're talking about moving out and, going off to college and all these different endeavors that they want to pursue. But,
right,
we know that we only have so much time. So in our home, we want to set the
course
tone.
Of the day. Yeah, exactly.
Set the tone and teach them how to do it. Let's be clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that we knew when we were planning our rule of life as a family. We knew that devotions was going to be like probably the first thing that we did in the mornings. So the rule of life, again, it's the concept of kind of taking the reins of your life and not just being reactive.
Right. That's good.
And so I think that's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily just like a bunch of rules and like a lot of don'ts. It's more about do's, right? So it's, it's like not what you don't want to have happen. It's what you do want to have happen. So that's the most important thing. It's like trying to take the reins of your life, not just give it to whatever's the next most urgent thing, right? So that concept's like called the tyranny of the urgent. We don't want to live that way. We don't want to live like just for the next emergency.
Right.
We want to start shaping our lives and pointing it in the right direction based on what we think, what we value.
Right.
So
isn't that something that you do in programming too?
Well, yeah. I mean, so there's this concept of like reactive programming and things like that. And so, it's reacting to things is good from a programming standpoint, but we don't want to be reactive with our time. We want to be proactive.
We want to be proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're sowing into your future.
You are. And like, I've heard it kind of said, like you don't want to transact in opportunities.
Right.
Right. So
That's
you want
good.
to make sure that you are setting the course of your life, not giving up just based on what the most crazy emergency is at any given time.
Right.
Because if you're allowing things to take your time away, then you're transacting in opportunities that you could be having at that moment. Right. So that's kind of the idea, is like, you don't want to just be unruled. You want to have a rule of life.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were giving Ethan a rule of life
Well,
that
I
day,
gave him a lot more than that.
you gave him an epiphany.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Poor guy.
So, but anyways, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that concept, we highly recommend John Mark's book, Practicing the Way. And then you can also look up practicingtheway.org. That's the website of his book. And he's got a rule of life builder, which is pretty cool. So you can actually go on there and pull out some different things to build your rule of life, and just based on your interests and things like that, you can kind of set a schedule. So it's pretty cool. It's
I
pretty
didn't even know you could
thing.
do that. So can you do that individually and for like a family, or is
I
it
believe
like
so.
based?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think it's more specific to individuals, but that's the other thing too, is like you want to find other like-minded people who will be able to join you in this rule of life idea.
Okay.
And then it's much easier to keep each other accountable when you do it in a community. So just like we're doing as a family, just like we have some things like, we want to start out the morning with devotions. We want to set aside a time or a day of the week where we're not doing screens.
Yes.
And
when
then,
do we do that?
So that's Sundays. We do Sundays. Yeah.
Yep.
We make sure that we just have kind of a screen-free day there. And then also we're limiting the amount of time that we're on screens throughout the week. We're making sure that our kids are into creative endeavors.
Yep.
That's another big thing that we are interested in personally as a family.
Yes, we are.
So yeah, it's just, it's like a whole different way of thinking about the time that you have, instead of just kind of giving yourself over to, I don't know, maybe just binge watching certain things, or just playing video games without any kind of end in sight. Like instead, we're kind of taking back the time and trying to make it work for us, not just being reactive.
Well, and I think as parents, we know that our time is limited. We only have so many years, and you only have so many years within their different seasons of these kids as well. So, they're all in different stages.
Yeah.
And so having the rule of life, even for each child, as you're looking at their uniqueness and their gifting
100%.
And talents, it's just good. I think overall what you're saying is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So
I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you guys want to learn a little bit more about that, we'll put the links in the show notes, and so you'll be able to check those out. But we want to talk about another story that we had during devotions. But this one's really cool. I don't think there's going to be like a hilarity story. Maybe there is.
I don't know. Which one is it?
Well, it's when we were going around and like recognizing each kid and how they are able to display the character of the Lord.
Yes.
And we did that. So we did this. I don't know. This was probably last year. And what we did, we just felt kind of impressed to do this one morning, is that we took turns with each kid, and we went around as a family and called out the character attributes of God that kid, we felt like they exemplified.
Yes.
So that was really cool.
And it was actually really fun, because we've got some very introverted children in our family.
This is
and, those ones actually had the coolest things to say about their siblings. And when it was their time, they ate it up. Ate it up.
They did. And it was really neat to see how, like, when we were telling them like what we saw and in their character, that we felt like reminded us of God's character. Like, so for instance, our oldest, we saw like how he was very responsible, and how he felt the need to be compassionate with some of his younger siblings. And we were just like, and even like protecting them, and how we felt like that's how the Lord kind of, is with us. He protects us, and he's compassionate towards us. And so we were saying that towards him, and we just saw like the biggest smile come over his face. And
it was real sweet.
Yeah. It was really cool.
And there were some other things with different ones, and the kids saying it to each other was really cool. Now we do something like that for their birthdays. When it's their birthday in our home, everybody will go around the table and say what they love about the individual. Mm-hmm. But for us to take time, and this was like on a Saturday, this wasn't like during the weekday, because this took a while.
It took about an hour.
Yeah, to get through it. Well, plus we have a ginormous family, so of course it's going to take a time. But when we do birthdays, it's just that birthday person. So that day, everybody just felt better. They were smiling. And typically, our devotions, I'm just thinking about the length of time to be practical, are not that long.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
do
true.
like maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, and we kind of keep it open-ended on some of our devotions, right?
That's
like
true.
sometimes we'll have something that is very specific, and then that might start generating questions that the kids have about
Right.
a specific topic. So,
Especially as they're getting older. I mean, they're asking really good questions, and they're part of there's a conversation. And I just want to say, for those who have younger ones, there are lots of little children devotionals out there. But when they were little, I mean, we would pull out crayons and paper, and they would color, because we have different ages. We'd have like teenagers, budding teenagers, and then like a 4-year-old. They're not going to, they don't care about what we're talking about. And so we tried to make it friendly for everybody.
Yep.
And also, I'm just thinking too, like the Bible projects have been good because they're not that long, and usually all the ages are enjoying them.
Yeah.
So it looks messy, you guys, too, especially when you have littles. Like, don't think it's going to be like this big, wonderful, yay. It's like, okay, they're fighting. They just started biting, which makes me think of another time that we had the hurricane coming, when we had a devotion. We live near the coast, and so a hurricane was coming. And I'm just saying this because we got up early in the morning to check the weather and to see and to make a decision if we needed to evacuate or not.
Right. You remember which hurricane that was?
I
don't remember.
There's been so many I don't remember. Yeah, but it was a bad one. It was a really bad one.
Well, it was looking like it was going to hit directly for us, for this area. And so we were kind of watching it throughout the night, and the day before we were making sure, like, okay, we're going to check. We're going to be ready to go if we need to.
Yeah, all of our preparations and everything that we need to do. And so both of us got up early that morning, like at 4 a.m., checking the weather to make a decision if we need to pack up and get out of Dodge.
Well, and it had been the case where, like, the last couple of hurricanes just were like going right for us, and then all of a sudden they would just turn.
Yeah.
And so we were like, man, is this going to happen like this again?
And this one was really bad. And it was a high ranking one.
Yeah.
So
they were
this
thinking
is like
you 3
do
or
not,
4.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't play.
Yeah. You don't play. And we wanted to stress that, like, obviously we want to choose safety no matter what the situation is, but we had seen the last couple hurricanes do that thing where they just hook over. So we were thinking, well, if we're going to get out of town, are we going to have to go to Jacksonville? If we do that, then maybe that's going to be in the path of the storm.
Yeah, we were looking at everything. We just didn't know. Like, north was bad because it was showing that cone of uncertainty.
Oh, the cone of
uncertainty. And if any of you live where hurricanes are, when I say that, it's probably a trigger word. When you hear the cone of uncertainty, you're like, oh, it's like a terrible word. So anyway, all that to say.
Yeah, we put it before the family. So we were like, we were not quite sure what to do, whether we should stay, whether we should go. The hurricane was supposed to hit that day, and so we were like, hey guys, listen, we're just coming to you as parents. We just want to put it before you guys. Like, what do you feel? What do you think? And we kind of went around the room and just asked, like, hey, what are you guys getting? Do you feel like the Lord's telling us that we should leave? Do you get an impression at all? Anything? What are you guys thinking in this moment? And one by one, they all said they felt like
we're supposed to stay.
Yeah. And then that gave us confidence too, because we were kind of leaning in that direction.
We had already individually.
Yeah. We'd already gotten that.
We were like, well, and so it was kind of a faith walk, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's kind of scary even talking about it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're like,
we wouldn't just recommend that to any given situation.
But we knew our house would be fine. We knew we'd be okay. But the biggest thing was afterwards. It was like, how many weeks would we be without power? And we were totally prepped to be ready for that, which you have to be when you live in the area of the cone of uncertainty. Like, you have to, we know we have generators, we're ready.
Yeah.
But who wants to be without power for a couple weeks? I definitely don't. So it was like, if we can get out of Dodge, let's go,
Yeah.
But I do want to say something as serious as that morning was.
Right.
We had been already meeting as a family for years. And so, like having these conversations and praying and teaching them how to pray. And, and knowing the peace of the Lord, that's something that we've built upon. But that particular morning, our oldest got on the keys. His hair is all crazy. His bedhead. Oh, yeah, totally bedhead, right? I know.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was just started playing worship music, and
it
was amazing. We just had a little family devotion time, extended time, and right before the hurricane.
But what was hilarious is this is how normal our family is. Some of them fell asleep. They started snoring.
Right.
Okay, so this isn't anything like, this is not like, oh my gosh, this sounds like, wow, what a holy moment in their home. No, it wasn't.
Nope.
We
It
had
was a
some,
mess.
we had some that started fighting.
Oh yeah, throwing pillows and
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it was like literally
9 yards.
happening. I'm like, really, you guys? Like so I'm just trying to put that before you, because if you're thinking like it's going to look like some beautiful, amazing, like angels, it really doesn't. It's
No.
like the normal. And I even took a video and posted it on the socials. So if you saw that, I'm sure you remember. And of course, we had friends and family all over asking us what we're doing, and we had made the decision to stay, which all of our neighbors have made the same decision.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of people around us decided to stay as well. So
yeah. And so anyway, but our daughter, we read Psalm 91. We talked about that as a family. What does that practically mean? And then she decided that she was going to go to every single window pane in our entire house, and she wrote Psalm 91. Now, in our bathroom, we have like that really thick, like from the 90s glass.
Oh yeah, the glass blocks.
The glass
Yeah,
blocks. So
that's
there's
what we have
like,
for a window.
I don't know, what, 50 of those in there? She's in there.
Took her a while to
Yeah,
get
she's
through that
writing
window.
everything. And then she did all the window panes of our sliding glass doors, which there's like tons of those too. It's like crossed off or whatever. And so it's there. Many of them are still up because I just cannot take them down. Like I just think,
Don't use permanent marker.
yeah, no. It was Expo. Or
Oh,
dry
yeah,
erase.
dry erase.
Yes,
Yep.
dry erase. I told her she could do it with dry erase. But to see her little handwriting in Psalm 91,
cute.
and the kids were so like awesome. And then that hurricane turned,
Yeah,
and we
really
hardly
didn't get
got anything. I think we got like one big branch that
We
came
had
down.
one little,
Yeah,
wasn't
that
even
was
that
it.
big. It
It
was just
wasn't.
one branch
Yeah.
came down from the tree. Everything else was fine. No trees down, no damage to the house, nothing. So
Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
the thing.
it was quite the thing.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
but we've created that culture of
Mm-hmm.
family devos, and I love that rule
Oh,
of
yeah.
life.
Yeah, we love that. One other thing real quick is I use this little devotional. It's reading the Psalms in 30 days. And that's pretty cool too. And the way that you do that is like 3 times a day. So that's another thing that I use personally for my rule of life is being able to just get into the scriptures 3 times a day and do a devotional. That's been really, really awesome. So we'll put a little link down in the description as well if you guys are interested in that. That's just one other thing that you can do for your rule of life. And, doing the 3 times a day is not uncommon. We think Jesus probably did something similar to that. Daniel,
Absolutely.
obviously. Other characters from the Bible
Yeah.
and people from the Bible practice something similar to that. So
Tell them about the Dwell. I always say it weird, the app.
the do well.
Dwell. Why do I always say dwell? I always say it weird. That's like our favorite thing right now. We're loving it.
The Dwell app.
Dwell.
Dwell app.
Dwell.
DWELL, I believe.
So I'm saying it right, saying dwell.
I'm close. I think it's
How do
close
you
enough.
say it?
Dwell.
Dwell. That's what I'm
You're
saying.
just kind of lengthening it, but it's all right.
Oh.
Maybe it's the Southern in you. So the Dwell app is really cool. There's probably about half a dozen authors or speakers, I would say, that just put together devotion.
I love it.
And they switch out. So every day they have something. It's got different like kind of mood music. I know that sounds weird on a devotion, but it's really cool. Actually, it kind of like
It's
sets
kind
the
of like
tone.
ambient.
Yeah, ambient.
Is that what ambient?
Ambient.
Okay, stop. I already
I'll
have
just
an
say
issue.
it for you. I'll
Thank
just say
you.
it for
I
you.
have
Yeah.
an issue with saying
Yeah.
words sometimes.
So anyways, the Dwell app, that's another really cool thing we like to use for devotions. And they're about anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes long. They are very introspective. So normally we get a lot of questions from the kids, which is great. I mean, it opens up family dialogue. So that's another little tool to put in your arsenal with family devotional things.
And if I may just interject for just a second.
Oh, you may.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy, so Ben was using this app for, how long were you using this for, Ben? Probably, would you say like maybe a month before the family started? Maybe a couple weeks?
Yeah.
So then we started using it in the family, and it has just been so good. I feel like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I just feel centered with the Lord. And especially when it's the first thing in the morning at like 6 something. And, I have my hot coffee in hand and then listening to this. And I have encountered the Lord deeply through that app. And I loved all the other things that we've done too, but I just think for this season of where I am, I'm loving it. So anyway, there's a shameless plug. Get it. Get it. And you can do it anywhere. I wouldn't do it when you're driving, maybe, because sometimes they tell you to close your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, probably not most ideal during driving.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been really good. I feel like we kind of covered the rule of life and shared some funny stories along the way with family devotions.
We might have scared some people to not do devotions too.
Yeah, we might have. Yeah. And
they're like, I'm not prepared to talk about some of these topics,
and
people.
If you don't know what the hole in the pokey thing is,
oh no,
then
stop, Ben.
You can message me later,
Ben,
and I'll explain that.
Oh my gosh.
A little more colorful language.
Please do not
for toddlers.
Do not message. Do not message. Okay. Do you have a scripture to wrap this up?
Man,
okay, please. Let's get moving. Let's get moving.
Some sanctity to this thing.
Come on.
All right. So just in kind of going along with the rule of life concept, 1 Timothy 4:7-8, have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness. For whole bodily training is of some value. Godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come.
Love that.
So that, I feel like that sums it up really well, right?
Yes.
Like that's kind of the ethos of what we're trying to get with the rule of life. We are trying to train our bodies, to train our minds, to train ourselves so that we can attain to the life to come, right? Like that's what it's all about.
Right.
We're not just looking at the here and now. We're not just looking at what benefits us in our present bodily form. We also want to think about what the life to come, what we need to do to reap the benefits of that life. And so that's where we want to focus our lives here on earth to have a great impact on the life to come.
I love it. What's the ethos of life?
Oh boy, you had to ask that question.
I did. That's a big word.
It is a big word, right?
I
know.
The
essence. We'll just go with the essence.
The essence of life.
Essence of life. Yeah.
I know what it is. I was just kidding with you. Okay. So
one more.
Oh, yeah,
so
one more?
We got Deuteronomy 4:9.
Oh, yes. Good scripture.
So here we go. So only take care and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things that your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your children's children.
Ooh, I love that.
So this is a great little corollary verse for doing family devotions.
Yes.
We want to make sure that our kids are getting an education, not only from the life experience that we've had with the Lord, but also even our grandparents, and just keeping that
healthy.
Just we want to pass it down.
Yeah.
So we want our kids to know, we want our kids to experience the Lord, and we want them to also just feel comfortable, having their own devotions.
Yeah, I love that. And we really are gearing that towards that. Like the kids have journals. We encourage them, on days that we're not meeting together as a family, even when we do meet as a family, still go have their own personal time. And, because it's a relationship.
Yeah,
it
is. There's ebbs and flows. And
yeah.
There's times where we're doing it really well. There's times where we're not, like
everything.
Just like everything in our messy life.
You name it, parenting, all the things.
Yeah.
But it's coming back to that rule of life.
Exactly.
That's what it comes back to, because it just brings you back to get the
course. It does. And when you do it with others, then you have
accountability.
Something that you can be accountable to one another.
Well, and I'm just thinking too, like if you get in a ship that doesn't have a course, what happens?
Well, you get thrown to and fro by the wind and the waves.
Right. And I mean, as simple as when you jump in an airplane, and if you don't have your course planned, 1 degree off, you're going in a completely different direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, over time, if your life is off just a little bit, over time, it just gets more and more exaggerated, and you've wasted more and more time. So
right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So I love this. I love that we talked about this today. Well, thank you for being a part of Our One Blessed today. We are so grateful for you being here with us, and we love that we get to do this podcast, Our One Blessed Mess. Don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend who needs the encouragement. Also, follow us on Instagram, and now we have a Facebook page, Our One Blessed Mess. And again, that's numeric 1. But honestly, until next time, we want you to embrace your beautiful mess, because if our mess can be blessed,
then so can yours.
Then so can yours. Have a great day.